Hi everyone, welcome to the week 1 recap of RevenueCat's Shipperton. It has already been a week. I am on day 8 today. It's almost midnight here and I am back home from my vacation. So I decided to have a whole idea of what all I was able to ship. And if you can look at the UI right now, what I had on 5th of August, the commit that I'm showing is on from the 5th of August, and what I have right now, which is on 12th of August, the difference is stark. Like, I don't know what I was doing back then when it came to the design, and a lot of new functionalities has been added thanks to the feedback that I got from the community on Twitter. I still won't say X. And so we will go through one by one for all the features and my thought process behind implementing them and how they came to life and what went into the code, a little bit on the code part. And now that I have so much amazing feedback coming in, I have to kind of prioritize which features I want to implement and which one I have to abandon. So the first feature that I got was a DM that I got on Twitter, which was from a designer, and they did not use Xcode and they did not wanted to have the functionality that I have to copy the code. Instead, they just wanted to kind of export the mesh gradient into the at some place on their phone. So in the Photos app, let's say just the Photos app, or have an option to just copy to clipboard so that they can copy it to Figma or Sketch or just use it in Keynote. So that was the first feature that I added. I created a sheet that exports the gradient for a particular width and height, and then when I was using the app myself, I realized that what if there was an option to just, I'm a lazy person, so just use the device resolution, and I added this feature as well. And yesterday, just before completing the first week, I added this option where it estimates the file size that will be exported and the compression quality that you want to have. Let's say if you just want it as a thumbnail, so you would want a smaller image quality, lower image quality, and you can just copy it to clipboard then. The second feature that I think, let me go through my notes. So I have a freeform file and it's kind of embarrassing, like the way I write it is very difficult. So this was on day 1. For day 2, there was a bug, which was a crazy nasty bug, where if I went from 2x grid to 3x grid and then come back to the 2x grid, it will crash and it should show me where it crashes. So I created a new meshing color picker because I wanted to be cool and have my own UI view representable. And the problem with this color picker was that the body of the color picker was refreshing before the grid number changes. So when it went from the grid size of 9, which is a 3 by 3, to 2 by 2, it would still have the 9 colors, but the value was showing to be 4. So the array updated to be 4 and it was still trying to access the 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. That's why it went, if you can see the error, it says fatal error, index out of range. So that's what I fixed by having a safe index method that just gives a dot clear color while it is updating, but the update is so instant that you would not notice that as a user. I redesigned the second feature for day 2 was redesigning the whole UI, especially the bottom part. Like, as you can see, this was a mess. I still cannot understand why I did that to myself and my apps and all the testers who tried the app. Oh, because the app has crashed, it's not letting me scroll. Let me try that again. This UI was good, but this reset and randomize was looking horrible. I had a call with Swift Dev on Twitter, and he reached out to me. What you can do is that have a sheet where you provide a constant value of true so that the sheet is always available, and then provide it a fraction when it starts of like 0.2. So I played around with the code and found 0.2 to be a good number, and then when I click on it, it shows the whole view and goes up to this value where it hides the meshing AI. So when the control points are shown, you get a control panel, and on top of that you have the gradient preview. And I also worked on this animation where it would just show a little bit after that. It was a bug in the beginning, but it turned out to be a feature. The idea was that it was not able to refresh the body of this view with the binding value while it was updating the presentation detent. So I just added a sync after 0.5 seconds so that it looks like a cool animation, and then it works as well. And I added this redesign the whole UI, and it's much better compared to this one because I do not have to scroll at all. The idea of creating an intuitive UI is that the user should be able to have as much less touches or like screen. The idea is that the less friction when they're working on the UI. So right now, if they just want to see the UI, they can just do this, or they can have the control panel open when they actually need the panel and not like bombard them with the whole control panel when it's not needed, when they're just playing with the colors. On day 3, I was supposed to work on the onboarding, but I pushed it later. On that day I created templates. So I created this template on my own. I would first give the template to Claude, and then it would give me the beautiful colors, but it would not give me the exact values that I would want. So I manually did it, give it back to create a JSON out of it, and then I would have like lovely, very lovely, amazing gradients to work with. So it is like giving a head start to the user. So then I improved on the prompt of meshing AI so that it gives much better 3x3 grid. At that time I was only focusing on making 3x3 grid better. So if I give a prompt of, let's say, Tokyo nights, and it generates a gradient, I would expect something blue and dark shade of blue. Let's see if I am wrong or just completely off the track. I'm not. So it gave a blue kind of a purple as well. So this was my idea of working with meshing AI. As you can see, there are still some bugs, like this one was supposed to be a bit on this side and not one. So it's not like following the prompt. So change is the only contest. I have to improve the prompt again and again to see why this happened. I can use the new structured response so that it provides much better JSON back to me. But let's see. So for day 4, I worked on the AI prompts again. I worked on a feature for artwork. So for this, I will have to kind of switch my branch, meshing AI, add artwork. So this was a prototype that I never shipped to the developers on the main beta, who are like the beta testers, because I couldn't figure out a good way to have a UI for it. But what I realized that it is a feature that I should add, because a lot of people would love to have their song artworks directly, like the gradient from the artworks itself, because it is kind of cool. And the thing is, the perfectionist came out of me. Like when I see the Apple Music lyrics view, I realize that it is really good. So when I see this somewhere only we know, and I try to play it on Apple Music, so when I play it on Apple Music, it would have much more vibrant colors. It feels like they're doing a lot on the algorithm side to get the best colors out of the artwork, like squeeze the colors out from the artwork, which is something I have not been able to do, and that's like kind of bugging me. So that's why I did not ship this feature. If you think that's a feature I should ship, just let me know. Another feature that I added was this one that is called as noise, which would add a bit of noise to the image, like as you can see. And if I change the template and try something else, Let's just try sunset glow and add noise. You can see this a subtle noise that I've added, and I can create kind of more templates where someone on Twitter suggested that I use a monochromatic or a grayscale shader, metal shader, to have that noise or grain effect, and that's something I will think of adding as well. So the idea is that these add noise animate that like kind of filling up the control panel. So I would have sections that say noises or like animations, and then you have those different kind of templates for each of them. On day 5, I animated the gradients, which was something really cool to do. And then I supported meshing AI for 2x grid and added start and stop. What's that? What's the start and stop? Oh, so I added an option to like start the animation and stop the animation. So this, you can see, it looks so beautiful. And when I remove the control points and this changes something else. Yep, this one is much clearer to see how beautiful the animation looks. So I added an option to like pause and play the animation, so that let's say you like this one really good, like something that you would want to use in your project, then you can go and export and copy the code directly for this. And on day 6, I refactored the code a bit because it was getting a mess, as I mentioned it multiple times in the previous videos. And it was more on working on the 3x, I moved forward to the 4x4 grid as well and added templates for it. Working on these was difficult because it is not as easy as I thought it would be, because you have a lot more points to work with. So you can see that the gradient that I have right now is similar to the one that I have in the wallpaper because I loved it so much. And when I animate this one looks really nice. Like I will just do it a full screen one for all of you to try. Just mesmerized by it. I think I have created one of the best animations out there, and the next step for the animation part would be to be able to export them as videos for the device resolution or your custom resolutions. I will have to figure out how to do that, but that would be some really cool thing to do. And on day 7, I added some custom shortcuts to the app. The idea of these shortcuts was that you could just click on the wallpaper option, and then it will open a shortcut, a custom shortcut that gets the clipboard data and then sets the wallpaper for you. Unfortunately, I cannot show it on the device right now because I am still on beta 1 on my iPhone, and Shortcuts app is really buggy, and I should have done better. But I will just put the tweet out, the tweet that I put on my Twitter, where it shows how it actually works. And when I came back home, someone had mentioned that you would you are really betting on that iOS 18 will be released by the time this Shipperton ends, before the Shipperton ends. So at the end, if it does not, then you still have a day 1 app on the App Store. And I really want to ship this app before Shipperton because I have worked a lot on it. I know I will ship the iOS 18 version anyway, but I did not want to let go of the users who are on iOS 17. So I kind of started brainstorming this prototype, which is called as the linear gradient. Oops, it's the wrong comment. Let's see if I open the correct one. We'll go to the branch 17 and try it again. Because of all the animations, the CPU usage goes to up to 15 or 14, and the memory is 108 MB, and that is something I have to think about as well. For the final release, there's so much to do when creating an app. App development is hard, and I will have to agree, being an indie is difficult. People said that it was difficult, it is difficult, but I did not think that it would be so much difficult, because just the development part itself is a lot of work, and then you also have to work on the marketing, because marketing, you want people to buy your app so they can pay your bills, and then the customer supports, and so much work has to go when you are just a complete independent person. So I have like much more respect for people out there. So I will show you the feature that I worked on, which is like a prototype for iOS 17, and I can also target it to iOS 16, but I have not. I don't know. The reason is that I don't have a phone that is on iOS 17. My main device is on iOS 18.0, and my test device is on 18.1, and my iPad is on 18.1 as well. So I don't know if I am supporting 16 and I get bugs there, then I'll have to download the simulator for it, and that will be a lot of work. So right now on the minimum deployment target is 17.4, because I still have an iPad which has 17.4. So the idea with the linear gradient is that you can have a color that you can change around and just work simply like how you would work with a mesh gradient, but with linear gradient. That is like a trade-off for my iOS 17 users, but it is really good as well. And then you can have a starting point for it and then bottom trailing point for it, so it looks much nicer. And then use the same kind of code to export and get the height and width and export the image. And then you can also add more colors to it, like I have added a red one, and when I move it to like top trailing, or let's say leading itself, then this color moves as well. And let's see, I can give it a different shade. So just because I have worked a lot on an app which is like a gradient game, I have pretty much good knowledge about working with linear gradients. And the idea is to expand this app in the future to angular gradients and radial gradient as well. So this is kind of a backup if by chance iOS 18 does not drop on the first day of, let's say, on 16th or 18th of September. I will have this app on the App Store for iOS 17 before, so I do not miss on being not eligible for RevenueCat Ship It In. And with that was a whole week of updates for you. It's a long video, and I really appreciate if you have been listening till now. And for the next week, which is like from today, my focus is to make the app robust. As in, right now, if I go back to the mesh, on the first version, all these buttons were at least working, like the color picker, but right now the color picker is not working, which is supposed to be the main core feature, right? So the problem is, like, from a technical point, is that when I click on the color picker, it is a hosting controller that is trying to open up, but I already have a controller that is opened up, so it cannot overlay on this. So that's the error that I'm getting, and I am trying to figure out a good way to work with it by like kind of making the bottom sheet that I have go down, and then it opens up, and then when the color is being selected, then it goes back. So I'm not sure if you get a kind of a callback from the color picker controller when it's done selecting in SwiftUI. So that's something I need to look into. And there are a little bit of bugs, like sometimes when I start the animations would then stop working. Not stop working, this picker would stop working. Like now I cannot go from 2x to 3x because this something happens, like I don't know what. Oh, it did. It's like if I try to animate, it will work, but I cannot go back to 3x3. So there is some bugs here that I need to fix, because I feel like instead of adding more features, I will just pile up on the technical debt. It's a very small app. Using the word technical debt feels like an overkill, but I just feel like I think it's better to take a pause right now and spend this week on perfecting the features that are already there. The app is should be in a production ready state by the end of this week, so that in the next week I won't talk much about the features itself, but more about the part that is outside of development, which is like adding the description for the App Store Connect, reaching out to press, and trying to do more social part, and creating an onboarding screen, creating a setting screen, creating a paywall. I will just start with a tip jar first for the linear gradient for iOS 17, and then move on to creating an actual paywall using RevenueCat I've already kind of planned the subscription model I have, but I need to think more on that, because when you're working with subscriptions, I feel like I do not want to undersell my work, but I want to provide value to the users too, where if they're spending recurring amount of money every month, they need to get the value out of the product as well. So it is not like a baby app now, it is a product. It is an AI gradient tool for designers out there to use, and developers as well who wants to create linear and mesh gradients. So the future for this app is exciting, and I'm really thankful to everyone who has been listening to all the videos that I've been posting every day. Trust me, it turned out to be a lot of work, but it is fun nonetheless. So have a good day and see you tomorrow.